All right, I think we're going to get started now. Thanks everyone for joining us tonight. My name is Lauren Mason and I'm a volunteer with the Dedham Junior Women's Club. The event this evening is co-hosted by the Dedham Junior Women's Club and Women in Democracy Dedham. There is links shared in the chat here so you can learn more about both of these great organizations. We are nonpartisan volunteer groups, and we're proud to offer this opportunity to the citizens of Dedham to get to know the candidates running for election so you can feel prepared when you cast your vote on April 10th. To share some background on the format of the forum tonight, there were about 80 questions that were submitted anonymously by the public a few weeks ago, and a group with members from both Dedham Junior Women's Club and Women in Democracy Dedham met with the town moderator to select the questions that were most representative of what was being asked by the community and that were also neutral and the most informative to voters. So earlier tonight, we met with the candidates to draw names to determine the order for which the candidates are going to be asked the questions this evening. The order will shuffle for each question so that everyone gets a chance to answer first. All candidates were invited to participate in the forum this evening, and those who could not attend were given the opportunity to submit a statement that will be read tonight by our town moderator, Dan Driscoll. In the races we're covering tonight, there are two candidates for one seat on the Board of Health. George Wands is not able to be here tonight, but he provided a statement. Noreen Guilfoyle will be here in person to give her statement. Given that there is only one candidate present, she won't be taking any questions. There are two candidates for one 3-year term on the Board of the Library Trustees. Bob Desmond is not able to be here tonight and has submitted a statement. Annette Wraithful will be here tonight to give her statement and to answer questions. There are 3 candidates for 2 seats on the Parks and Recreation Commission. 2 candidates, Lisa Farnham and Mona Salta-Lamacchia, are here tonight. The other candidate, Chuck Dello Iacona, has submitted a statement. The forum tonight will be moderated by Dan Driscoll, Dedham Town Moderator, and I'll hand it over to you now, Dan. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lauren. And my thanks to the Dedham Junior Women's Club and Women in Democracy Dedham for inviting me to moderate this year's debate. Democracy is alive and well in Dedham, as evidenced by the number of candidates we have running for offices. So this year we split the debate into 2 parts. Last week was the school committee. We had 7 candidates who spoke to us. There were over 180 people on Zoom and many more on Dedham's cable TV's different showings of the debate. As frequently happens in the busy campaign season, one candidate, Rebecca Gates, had another commitment, and so I read her statement. Now, we do have a 2-minute limit for statements, but Rebecca wasn't here to know that when she submitted hers. So I had to summarize the last several points, and there were a couple of questions raised about that. So I'm just going to quickly review the ending part of her statement, and so you get the full picture of what Rebecca would have said if she was able to be with us. So her top priorities are opening our schools and getting in-classroom instruction and support, and to operate safely and successfully while minimizing the achievement gap due to the pandemic. She wants to build an inspiring and extraordinary school community for all students and families, and creating a culture where our schools are the very heart of our community, and to spend resources responsibly and creatively, respecting our tax base and ensuring educational achievement for all students, regardless of their background, neighborhood, and socioeconomic status. She knows that a committee with vast backgrounds and viewpoints, operating with mutual respect, will bring out the best for all of Dedham. Again, Rebecca apologizes for not having been able to be with us last week, but says feel free to contact her at electRebeccaGates@gmail.com, or check her out on social media, Rebecca for Dedham. That's the number 4, RebeccaForDedham.com. And she asked for one of your votes for the Dedham School Committee. So let me briefly review the format, but before I do get into that, let me let everyone know that our annual town meeting, our spring town meeting, will be held this year on May 17th, and it will be once again held outdoors at the Dedham High School field. May 18th is the rain date. Okay, the format. Each candidate will be asked the same questions, and they will have 90 seconds to respond. And at the end, the candidates are invited to present a closing statement. And as we noted last week, a note about respect, our hope is that we create a forum where there is an exchange of ideas and respect for others, including those with different opinions. So first, the Board of Health candidates. There are two candidates, Noreen Guilfoyle and George Wands. George was not able to join us this evening, so I will read his statement, but Noreen is with us and she will read her own statement. So George points out he's running for the Board of Health. I have been in food service for 46 years. I'm a member of the International Association for Food Protection. He's active virtually with the USDA, United States Department of Agriculture, was an EMT for 10 years, a full-time caretaker for 3 years, and a contributor to community affairs. My experience have brought me full circle. I am ready to work with the Board of Health, but I need your help. George asks that you vote for him on April 10th, and send you his thanks. So with that, we're very happy to have Noreen Guilfoyle with us this evening. And Noreen, you're invited to read your statement.
Hi, first I'd like to thank the Dedham Junior Women's Club, the Women in Democracy Dedham, everyone who logged into Zoom and everyone who's watching on cable to give me this opportunity. My name's Noreen Guilfoyle and I'm asking for a vote for a seat on the Dedham Board of Health. As a healthcare professional, I'm committed to providing quality healthcare to all. I've been a registered pharmacist for 25 years and I'm a certified immunizer and a member of the Mass Pharmacists Association. I grew up in Dedham. I'm a graduate of Dedham High. I have a bachelor's degree from Mass College of Pharmacy and have worked in a variety of pharmaceutical environments throughout my career, including retail, hospital, and home infusion. I've worked at all 3 CVSs in Dedham, and I was the pharmacy manager at the CVS on Buzzy Street. I worked at the inpatient pharmacy at the VA hospital in West Roxbury. I've worked at Quorum Home Infusion in Norwood, and I'm currently the lead production pharmacist at Pentec Health in Mansfield, where we compound low, medium, and high-risk medications for intrathecal pump infusion, along with parenteral nutrition for renal dialysis patients. My husband, Dennis, and I raised our 2 children in the manor. DJ and Allie attended Green Lodge Elementary, Dedham Middle School, and are currently students at Dedham High School. I'm a town meeting member. I'm a volunteer for the Norfolk County 8 Medical Reserve Corps, and I'm on the board of directors for Dedham Girls Softball. Plus, my husband, Dennis, served on the select board for 6 years. So I've experienced firsthand the time and the commitment that is needed to put forth to serve on such an important board. This current pandemic has greatly motivated me to offer my skills and expertise to the town as we all eagerly progress towards the post-pandemic stage. I feel that my professional healthcare background, diverse experience has prepared me to serve the town of Dedham. If elected to the board, my commitment is to make a positive impact to all the residents of Dedham. And I, again, respectfully ask for your vote on or before April 10th. Thank you. You're muted. I can't hear you, Dan.
I was saying thank you.
Oh, thank you.
And thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you very much.
Okay. We're now going to move to the library trustees, and there is a contest for the 3-year seat that's available. And the 2 candidates are Robert W. Desmond and Annette Rayfill. Annette is here with us tonight and is interested in responding to the questions. So Annette, if you are ready.
I am.
I'll present the question. So our first question is, why do you want to be a library trustee? What is your vision for the role of library trustee going forward?
Well, currently I am a trustee. I was one of the 5 people that were appointed last October. And I actually was nervous about running. And so when there was an opportunity to serve as a trustee without actually being elected, I thought, what a great way to find out if this is something that I wanted to do on a more permanent level. And I love my colleagues. I love the library. The library to me is the center part of town and the lifeblood of the community. And my vision is to, of course, open the library once it's safe to do so, and also to make it, to continue actually with many of the programs that it has, and to make it as an open for everybody in the community for whatever their needs are.
Thank you. Second question we have for you, Annette, is how will you work to rebuild the relationship between the board, library employees, and town leadership?
I think that that's a really interesting question, because I really wasn't as familiar that there was a problem until recently. And I will say that the 4 other people that I'm working with right now on the board are extraordinary. We bring 5 different backgrounds. I think that the select board was brilliant in selecting the 5 of us. We come with a variety of viewpoints. We don't agree on everything. It has been respectful and civil. The discussions have been excellent. We are all committed to exactly the same thing. And I believe we are looking for a new director. We have a wonderful interim director, but we're committed to having an open process to selecting a permanent director. And one of the things that the trustees are committed to is having conversations with every member of the current library staff to find out what their dreams are, what their worst worries are, what their hopes are, what their criteria is for a good director. And so I think that that is one way to provide a link with the staff. I will admit it's a little hard right now because we can't get in to see them. And so we know them more remotely. But I think it's very important that that gets reestablished.
Thank you. So our third question, how will you ensure from your position that our libraries feel inclusive to people of color? What specific ideas might you have for programming, increased access, hours, resources, or other ideas?
Well, first of all, the library is taking that on itself. They have a committee called the IDEA Committee, which stands for Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Accessibility. They're working internally to work on that, and they will include the trustees eventually. I have spent my life in education, where equity is central. My last 2 jobs before I retired were as a head of 2 different independent schools, one in New York City and one here. And even when I was in New York for 5 years, I commuted from Dedham, so I never left my Dedham home. My school in New York was started by Columbia University, and it was a school where you got in by lottery, no other way. And we had 50% of the kids at the school were had parents who were members of Columbia University, and 50% were from the neighborhood, which was Harlem, Morningside Heights, and the Upper West Side. We dealt with issues about inclusivity all the time. We looked at socioeconomic differences, we looked at racial differences, and we found that the way to best work was to involve the community and to really find out what they needed and what they were most responsive to.
Thank you. The library, as you know, is a vital resource for the town, yet due to the pandemic, it has been operating with very limited functionality. What are some ways that you would expand programming and services if we need to keep the library physically closed for several more months?
I actually don't think we're going to be physically closed for several more months, but I do want to say that the library has been doing extraordinary work even during the pandemic. And I'm going to give you some of the good news. The library has remained responsive. They've sent out book bundles. They've done curbside pickup. They've done home deliveries to people who ordinarily can't come to the library. They've increased the digital collections of ebooks, and actually digital use in the library has gone up 90%. They've offered all kinds of programs, an average of 35 a month, even while the library was closed. They did remote other language training. They increased by, I said 50% of the digital circulation, and they lived within their budget, despite the fact that there were a lot of increased costs. And I actually think that the acting director is doing an astonishing job. The bad news is, of course, that we're waiting for COVID to dissipate. We have a relatively young staff, so they were not first in the vaccination line and they weren't given protective status for early vaccinations. But we're starting in April with outside potluck openings. And so you can come and browse outside, and we're committed to opening the library as soon as possible.
Thank you for that. Question number 5, a 2018 study by Stanford University showed that 82% of middle school students could not tell the difference between real news stories and sponsored paid articles. What kinds of educational programming would you recommend to help increase media literacy if you were elected as a library trustee, re-elected?
Thanks. I wasn't elected the first time. I was just appointed, so this would be my first election. I think that is an astonishing piece of information. And there's a book that was very instrumental in my thinking called Too Big to Know, which talked about how technology has changed the way that we define knowledge. And it was written by somebody who was the head of the Harvard libraries. And the central thesis of the book is that critical thinking is more important than it's ever been, that media literacy is more important than it's ever been. And I think that there is an opportunity for the Dedham Public Library to work more hand in hand with the school libraries. And I see an opportunity there for us to be in a more symbiotic relationship. I think that there's a lot that we can do to offer programming, although teenagers are not often enticed by going to the library to find out about media literacy. But all of us participate in professional development as trustees. And so we are apprised of some of the newest information about how to share media literacy with younger students.
And finally, do you support a code of conduct for elected officials, including conduct on social media?
Yes, but I also have to confess that I am not a big social media user. One of the things as a head of school is that you learn that you don't use really Facebook or anything else, because people then find out about parts of your life that you don't want to know. So my own social media use is rather limited, but absolutely I submit a code. I think a code of conduct is important as far as civility in lots of areas, especially now.
Thank you. I'm going to move to closing statements now, and I will read the statement from Bob Desmond. My name is Robert Bob Desmond, and I'm running for a 3-year term on the Board of Library Trustees. I previously sat on the board for over 20 years and have seen many changes and challenges for our libraries. Now, as we navigate a new normal, the library is more important than ever. My hope is not to run the day-to-day operations, but to support the leadership of the library. I will bring institutional knowledge and work alongside with the board, the director, and staff to safely open our beautiful buildings to our community and beyond. I respectfully ask for your vote on April 10th. Annette, your opportunity.
Thank you. I think that this job demands a certain set of skills. I think that you want somebody who's going to be a champion for the staff, who works hard and needs to know that their work is appreciated. I think you need somebody who is a good communicator and really speaks about the programming of the library and what it's doing well. I think you need a person who's a good listener, who can be responsive to citizens' needs. I think you need a learner and one who's willing to take additional professional development in what are the new opportunities for libraries and what are the new challenges. I think you need somebody who can attend to details. And the budget is $1.5 million. That's a lot of public money. My previous jobs as head of schools, I managed a $22 million budget in one place and a $9 million budget in another. And that all had to be responsive to the fiscal realities. I think you need a strategic thinker. The library, not only are libraries changing, but we've got an accessibility problem at the main library. We've got to figure out how to deploy people best between the two libraries that we have to make the best use of personnel and to make it the most accessible to people and their interests, and that relies on using data. I also think that you need a person who's a user and who's experienced the library from someone who takes out books and visits regularly. And I am an incredible reader. I will tell you that probably the best way to know me is through my mother, who's 97 years old and a very avid reader, and told me one thing. She said, when you look for a house, make sure it's within walking distance of the local public library. And I also want to just share a quick quote that says, in the nonstop tsunami of global information, librarians provide us with floaties and teach us how to swim.
Thank you very much. Annette Rayfield, and also Bob Desmond, who could not be with us this evening. Thank you, Annette. We're going to move now to the Parks and Recreation Commission. There are 3 candidates for 2 seats: Chuck Dello Iacano, Lisa Farnham, and Mona Sotolamacchia. Chuck has another commitment this evening, so when it comes time to do statements, I will read his personal statement. Earlier this evening, Lisa and Mona drew straws for their order, and Lisa drew number 1 and Mona drew number 2. So we will go right to the questions, and Lisa will answer first on the first question, and Mona will answer first on the second question. So the first question.
Dan, hold on one second. We need to find, I'm trying to find Lisa and I can't find her.
Uh-oh.
I already made her a co-host.
I'm here. I was gonna say I'm here.
You're here. I just can't find your name in this.
Oh, okay.
Seeing Len Farnham, but not you. But I found you. So
Okay. All right. Dan, Mona and I arm wrestled and I won. That's why I'm going first.
Well, I'm glad I know that about you. Are we ready?
Hold on.
Just one more second.
Okay.
We're gonna get Lisa's face spotlighted like yours and Mona's are.
Okay.
Jess, for some reason, are you seeing the ad spotlight? I'm not seeing it for her when I click on her. It's like, for some reason, it's the first time it hasn't shown.
Lisa, I think you have to have your video on.
Oh, that's why. Yeah. Okay.
I do have my video on.
Oh.
It's not showing up here on us that you have your video on, Lisa.
Try turning it off and turning it on again.
Okay.
And thanks everyone for your patience while we deal with some, there we go, technical challenges.
Here we go. And then we'll
There we go.
Back up.
We have Mona and Lisa. Great. Thank you.
You're
Okay.
the spotlight.
First question. Lisa's going to go first. Why do you want to be a Park and Recreation Commissioner? What experience do you have with organized recreational activities at the town level?
Okay, so why I want to be a Parks and Rec Commissioner, I've been involved in a variety of youth programs in the town with basketball and soccer. I've been a town meeting representative. I've been part of the Dedham Youth Soccer Board of Directors for 8 years. I feel like all of these kind of suit me or suit the role of Parks and Recreation Commissioner. I have been, my daughter has been a consumer of the dance programs at Park and Rec, and I've had great experiences there. And so I think I can bring creativity, some new ideas, and some just some different programming. So that's why I'm interested in being a Parks and Rec Commissioner. And the other part of the question, I think, was what makes me qualified. And again, I've been very involved in youth sports and youth programs in the town. I've been involved in my children's school at an elementary, middle school, and high school level, developing various programs. And I'm getting the yellow light. So again, I think I am more than qualified. to be part of the Parks and Rec Commission. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Same question. Do you need me to repeat it? If
No,
either.
I got it. I
Okay.
got it. Thanks.
Very good.
Thank you. So first of all, I just want to say thank you so much to Dedham Junior Women's Club and WIND and you, Mr. Moderator, for having us tonight. I almost feel like saying ditto to what Lisa has said, because we unfortunately do a lot of the same things. I served on the Pupwana board for many of years. I've been in town meeting. I've coached Little League. I've coached soccer. I've coached basketball. I'm always there to volunteer. As you know, any kind of sports program here in town, you have to have a lot of people to volunteer. That's how it runs. That's how it works. And I think that Park and Recs is a great opportunity for me to go in with some experience on those levels. They're definitely a great board. I'd love to work with them. And my experience, I do have a lot of experience with as far as my town job and working in the Brookline Public Schools and being on the local board. I do a lot of things with a lot of people. And as we all know, everything takes compromise, and I think that works really well. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, on the second question, Mona, you will go first. And the question is, the current Park and Recreation Commission recently voted against adopting a code of conduct. Would you support the adoption of a code of conduct, including social media posts? Why or why not?
So I'm not sure if we need all the time on this one. This is kind of a no-brainer for me, yes. I definitely think we need it. I know that other boards in town have done it. I see no reason what it would hurt our board if I get elected to that board. Everybody knows I like a good selfie on my Facebook page, but we'll all have to be a little bit careful with what we post. And I'm totally for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Lisa Farnham.
So first, I guess I wish that a formal code of conduct document weren't needed. I wish we could all do without it, but I am definitely in support of it for all elected officials and would vote in favor of one and sign one should I be elected to Parks and Rec Commission.
Thank you. All right, Lisa, you're the first on this next question. How could you work to make parks and recreation programs more accessible for working parents or caregivers, single parents, low-income families, and special need families?
So it's a great question. So I think the first thing that I've realized as I've prepared for this election is a lot of the programming is offered at the Dolan Center, which isn't really accessible to a lot of people in town. So I think one of the ways I could help families, single parent families, et cetera, is to look at other places to offer programming. So maybe it's the Mother Brook Arts and Community Center. Maybe it's Endicott State. Just to, again, bring programming to all of our neighborhoods. I think that would help working parents so that you're not driving, 15 minutes or 20 minutes across town. So again, I think that's a way that we could do things. I also think we can look at different hours. So maybe evening doesn't work for some people. Maybe after school's better. Maybe Saturdays or Sundays. So I think we can be creative with timing. Maybe we can, let's see, what else could we do? We could, in addition, bring, survey parents and ask for what times would work best, what days of the week would work best. So ask the people that are signing up for the Parks and Rec programming where the challenges might be, and then we can identify ways to meet those challenges. Thank you.
Thank you. Mona?
Sorry. Yeah. So one of the things that I have thought about, because the Dolan Center is on my side of town, Riverdale, which I enjoy, is and high enrollment times and for programming as well, that maybe we need to look at the town hall to have some use there, at least for offices, so people can sign up in the center of town. It's a little more local for everybody, every piece of town. And also, I'd like to look into the ECEC and see what's going on there. Maybe it's about time we look into that building to try to maneuver that. So maybe Park and Recs needs to have programs over there. That building is not in the best of conditions, but I'm sure if we put some work into it, it would be definitely a place we could use. There's a gym space in there. There's classrooms. We all know what it looks like in there, but I think that we do, again, have to look at things, and a survey is just a great way to do that. Find out what people really want in this town. And don't forget, we're here to represent everybody in the town, not us. We want to make sure everybody gets a piece of it, all the way from the older adults to the youngest here. So that's what I think we should definitely work on. Thanks.
Thank you. Mona, while you've got the microphone, we saw during the pandemic how important open spaces became for exercising and socializing. What are some ways we can expand the use of our parks to accommodate those needs?
So I definitely think that anytime you have outdoor space, you need seating. We need seating, maybe tents, things along those lines. We need to make sure that that they're accessible to everybody, that people can get in and out of areas that are maybe not park areas, but little stretches of land in certain places. I think for sure that the pandemic has definitely kept everybody inside and everybody wants to go out. So I think definitely some things along those lines we really need to look at. I don't know where the funding would come from. We would have to sit down and look at that. But I'm sure we could get it done. That's what I would hope so. Thanks.
Dan, can I ask you to repeat the question?
Sure.
Thank you.
We saw during the pandemic how important open spaces became for exercising and even socializing. What are some ways we can expand the use of our parks to accommodate those needs?
Thank you. So as part of COVID, I think it was last summer that Parks and Rec and the DPW worked together to put picnic tables in various locations throughout the town. I think that was an awesome idea, and I think it's something that it shouldn't take COVID for us to do that. So I grew up in a town in Connecticut that's similar in size to Dedham. And one of the things we had, in addition to the picnic tables, is we had grills, charcoal grills, where people would need to bring their own charcoal, obviously. But it ended up just creating a great space for people to just come and hang out, families to eat dinner, play games. So I think there's things like that we could do. I also think we have an opportunity where the police station currently is for a great open space there. So we could, it's obviously not a great spot for a park, but we could have picnic tables there, maybe a giant chess game. And chess is a great program, and it's a great game, and it's kind of having a resurgence now for people of all ages. So again, I think we can be creative with our open spaces, and it can benefit folks of all ages. Thank you.
Okay, Lisa, you are first on this question. Dedham Parks and Recreation seems to have very limited programming for adults. How would you address this?
Great question, and I agree. So I have some ideas both during COVID and not during COVID. I think we could offer some Zoom programming. So things like Zoom Zumba, Zoom gardening, things like that for adults. I also think we have tennis courts in town. So why not offer beginner and/or intermediate tennis lessons for, again, adults, seniors, teenagers. I think Parks and Rec, right or wrong, people think about it as just programs for elementary age kids. Additionally, we could have programs like maybe Red Cross certification. So we could partner with the Red Cross and offer certification on CPR, things like that, that again, both teenagers and adults may want if you're a caregiver, as an example. What are some other ideas? We could do things like paint your own birdhouse. We could have, again, things that grandparents could do with their grandchildren, I think would be great. So those are just a couple of different ideas. But again, I think creativity would help to come up with some suggestions. And again, we could also survey adults I know that Parks and Rec already works with the Council on Aging, so there's some great programming opportunities there as well.
Thank you. Mona.
Hi. So yes, Lisa has wonderful ideas, and obviously that's why she's running, because they are so good. A couple other things that we might be able to do or take advantage of is like yoga in the park. That's a great way to do it. I know there's some seniors that are having walking trail times, and maybe get them out to do more gardening. I don't think that might not need to be virtual at some point because of they're outside. We also need to look at exercise stations. I believe the board is working on those as we speak. And I know I was at a sign hold this weekend, and pickleball. A lot of people want pickleball. I already got my team name picked out, and I'm ready to do it. So we got to figure that out. Some bocce ball things where people can be outside. Everybody wants to be outside. We have to take advantage of it. And I'm really looking forward to doing things with older adults that they need to be outside. We all need to be outside, but it's going to be tricky, but I think we can get it done. Thanks.
Thank you.
Oh, we got to
Thank
stay
you,
on.
Mona. Our last question. The Park and Recreation Department is delegated to maintain our school fields. School fields do need improvement. What would you do to address this?
Well, my understanding about the school fields, this has been a problem since I've been on the board of Dedham football. And my understanding on fields that are run by the school is what the recreation department does, the park piece of it, is they're recess ready. So we really have to get together with the school department and figure out how we can get them more than recess ready. I don't like to see dads, moms out there trying to piece together a baseball field in Riverdale or anything like that. The rain, the water, the mud, putting sand down. I think we really need to work closely with other people in town to kind of get these fields more than recess ready. I think it's critical for our fields, and I think that we can do it. So we just got to figure out a way. Thanks.
Thank you. And Lisa.
So I think we definitely have field issues, as Mona said, in the town. I think the way to best take care of fields is they need, again, proper care, and they need to rest. And unfortunately, our fields don't get much rest because we don't have enough. And so that, continues to be a challenge. I think we need to look throughout the town. I know that Stryer property was one of those things that unfortunately did not get support in the town, but I think there's some land there. There's some land in other places that we could look at to build fields. So I think having a few more fields might help the maintenance of our existing fields so that, again, we can properly rest them for a season, for a month, whatever it might be. Our fields get a lot of use, which is a good thing and a good problem to have. But sometimes it's too much use. And we live in New England, so we do get rain and snow, and in April when we don't expect snow. And again, that impacts the fields as well. And I know the folks at Park and Rec currently do their best to fertilize and maintain the fields. But again, weather and use is definitely a challenge. So I think having more accessible fields would be a great first start. Thank you.
Well, thank you both. We're going to do personal statements now, and I'll read Chuck Delahoye-O'Connor's statement. He said, "I'm unable to attend tonight's debate due to a conflict. However, I want to assure the viewing public this is not because I do not honor your time and genuine validation of the candidates vying for this position. As a long-serving member of the Parks and Recreation Commission, I know the governances, policies, and regulations this body is bound to uphold. I know the history, obstacles, and pathways to scheduling, maintaining, and growing our programs, public amenities, the pool, and ball fields. I'm not a politician, I am a public servant. In addition to my roles as an elected official, my record of service to the entire community, from our children, veterans, and senior citizens is undeniable. I have put in long hours, reached across governmental divides, and always worked to making Dedham the finest community around. During my tenure, we have improved our parks from Churchill to Gonzalez Field, and our program offerings from toddler to the retired. Even our dogs have been served. Many of these projects came in ahead of schedule and under budget. This year, the town is tightening our budget, and we need to continue our diligent anti-COVID prevention. My experience and record of hard work will position the commission to overcome these known and any additional challenges. If you vote for me, I'm number 3, Chuck Delaware O'Connell. Okay, so Lisa, it's your turn to go first. So your personal statement.
All right. Thank you, Dan. Thank you first to the Dedham Junior Women's Club and Women in Democracy Dedham for sponsoring this evening's event. Thank you to our moderator, Dan Driscoll, and thank you to my opponent, Mona, for her thoughtful responses. I believe timing is everything, and now is a really important time for Parks and Rec and Dedham as a whole. This town that I've called my home for over 30 years is changing in exciting ways. We have a new town hall. We're going to soon have a new public safety building. We have opportunities to repurpose the old police station and to study Providence Highway along the Charles River. These are great projects that I'd love to champion as a Parks and Rec commissioner. Additionally, we aren't becoming diverse. We are a diverse town with diverse needs. I'm committed to ensuring that Parks and Rec communications and programming are inclusive, accessible, and meet the needs of all Dedham residents, whether they're kids, teens, adults, or seniors. There are opportunities to partner with other boards like Dedham's Council on Aging, Livable Dedham, the school committee, youth sports programs to ensure that the needs of all residents are being met. And it's important to remember that we already have wonderful parks and open spaces that many people don't know about it. During my campaign, I've walked the Dedham trails, I've walked along Mother Brook, and visited many of our parks. I will create a map that shows our town parks, trails, and open spaces, and additionally amenities for each location. So awareness of these existing resources is the first step in engaging our residents. We don't always need to build it. People just need to know that it's there. Currently, most programming, as we've talked about before, is offered at the Dolan Center, which is not necessarily accessible to all residents. It would be great to be able to use Mother Brook, the Endicott Estate, and other areas across town so that everyone has access to Parks and Rec programming. Our recreation programs need to be regularly reimagined so that Dedham citizens can be active, engaged, and safe. And I have what it takes to make that happen. I would be honored to serve this wonderful community as a Parks and Rec commissioner, and I ask for your vote on Saturday, April 10th. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lisa. Mona, it is your turn.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to the viewers at home, to Lisa. Good luck, Lisa. Thank you to the Dedham Juniors Women's Club and the WIN program and you, Mr. Moderator, for hosting us. So I understand the importance of collaboration and I'm goal driven. I feel that we need to prioritize things for Parks and Recs. We need to work with other departments such as Council of Aging and the Youth Commission. We need to drive these things home. We need to make sure that we are covering all aspects of the town and the people in the town. I think my experience with working with the union and helping collaborate with youth programs, Dedham Papuana, I was a chair coordinator. I'm also the vice president of the union in Brookline. I feel that we need to look for space in this town. We need to utilize it. We need to make sure that everybody's being represented. We need to look at buildings that we're not using, maybe the ECEC. We need to make sure that we're using them in the right way and that serves the purpose for the town. And I believe I would love to be a part of the board. I love what the board is doing. And I would ask for one of your votes on April 10th. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, thank you to both of our candidates for joining us, and to Chuck for sending in his statement. And we have now concluded the grilling of the candidates, so I'm going to turn it back to Laurie.
Hello, everyone. My name is Laurie Delaney, and I'm a member of the WIN leadership team. On behalf of Women in Democracy Dedham and Dedham Junior Women's Club, I'd like to thank all of you for being with us this evening and engaging with the democratic process in our town. We'd like to especially thank Dan Driscoll for moderating this evening's discussion, each of the candidates for participating, and Dedham TV for broadcasting this evening's event. Both WIND and Dedham Junior Women's Club believe that our town is better when more people are involved and engaged. And we're so grateful that so many people have taken the big step of dedicating their time and energy to running to serve the town, and that all of you have spent this evening with us learning about the candidates and informing your vote. If you'd like to learn more about these candidates, as well as those running for other townwide offices and town meeting, we invite you to visit win.org, and we are hosting candidate statements there. Candidates for any town office who have not yet submitted their statement may still do so. Thanks again, and we look forward to seeing you at the polls on Saturday, April 10th. Thank you, everybody.
Good night.